Your Chicago Cubs take 2 out of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies in the city of brotherly love as they continue their battle through the NL East. They'll face the hapless New York Mets at the friendly confines starting this weekend. On the south side of the White Sox have now lost 3 in a row, 6 overall at home. They go always to face times are starting to change on the south side, sorta. We'll get into that coming up. In basketball, the NBA playoffs are here, but tonight we'll decide the 8 seeds in both the Western and Eastern Conference. Back home, will he stay or will he go? The future of Billy Donovan hangs in the balance. The Blackhawks give a key executive a contract extension, quote unquote, and we'll have the rest in sports media news and more. Then a whole lot more. So Friday Fun edition of Second City Sports starts now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Keep him on the field. And this one, a drive in the left center field. Going back is Churio at the wall. Get out! Robert Jr., his 4th of the season. And the Sox take the lead 2-1.
Armstrong gets into another one. Sends Edman back. He's watching it land in the stands. What a night from Pete Crow Armstrong. Goes wide. Up the guard again. And he scores. What a play!
On Jordan Bennington. No chance at all for the Blues netminders. Connor Bedard. Wow.
Getting what a pass. Buzelis with the fade on the drive.
Motions up. They're blitzing. It's picked up. Caleb Groves, middle of the field. Loveland catch. Breaks away the 30. Loveland 20. Loveland 10. Loveland end zone. Touchdown Bears.
Welcome to another fun-filled Friday Funk edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss LaKeena McGee, which is she, Sidney Brown here. You know it's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, execute again, the IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're the unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion, do not 2 hours extravaganza. We call it a sports talk radio show. You got to hit us up right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given LaKeena full powers to give you dumbos to Bill and Beer Boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, shout out to our live gang, and it's LIVE Live Entertainment Gang. That's checking us out live in the living color right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels at 12:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. But as always, much love to the replay gang that's checking us out on the replay. Also at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels. Don't you ever forget our motto where we talk sports, music, or entertainment. We will always provide.
We remind you it's on the best here on Second City Sports, of course. We got a loaded first hour. We're going to talk some sports media news. The Illini get a couple of key pieces back from their Final Four team. Also, the Blackhawks finish strong, and the executive gets an extension. And we'll talk NHL playoffs too, as it's supposed to start. It's going to start this weekend as well. But also, too, we're saving these hour 2 for the NBA because that's going to be our NBA playoff preview show. Yes, it's that time of year, folks. We got our illustrious panel of experts, guys, so make sure you guys tune in later on the show in the hour 2. That's gonna be our NBA playoff preview power hour. But first, let's go to Diamond and talk some baseball. We'll start with the Cubs first. The Cubs win 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia. That's the first time they've done that since I believe the early aughts, and even even better than that, the bats are starting to heat up for the Cubs. It's the first time, those back-to-back, those 2-3 games that they did win those games to win the series. It's actually the first time that they actually scored double-digit runs in back-to-back games against the Phillies. You gotta go all the way back to the 50s. That's how long it's been. But yeah, they get to hopefully they'll take a little bit of advantage and keep that momentum going as they place the Mets over at the friendly confines coming up in about an hour from now, give or take. So, Sid, what did you think about that Phillies series?
Well, after getting blasted in that first game, they rebounded like the playoff contending team they're supposed to be, at least on paper. They also scored the Phillies 21-6 in those two victories. A couple of key factors were in play here. Strong started pitching. Colin Ray came in relief in the Tuesday win. Pitched great in his 6 innings in starting relief. If you look at my air quotes here. Shota Imanaga on the next night on Wednesday after giving up an early inning home run. Struck out 11 and only walked one batter. His fastball placement was excellent, and he was aggressive and went after batters. Now, flip it to the Cubs offense, as we complained about to start the year. Nico Horner, 8 RBIs in the 2 wins, 3 on Tuesday and 5 last Wednesday. Dansby Swanson came alive in the last game, drove in 3 runs. Pete Crow Armstrong, people talked about him as being a potential MVP candidate this year. After struggling in the first game, he went 2 for 4 in both games, totaling 4 hits off his last 8 at bats. He started to get it going. And missed the cycle from last year. Carson Kelly, the backup catcher, had a big game on Tuesday with a home run with 3 RBI. So those bats for the Cubs are starting to heat up. And as we said before, if this team hits home runs on a consistent basis with good starting pitching, this team is damn near unbeatable. But when they lean on a home run a little bit too much, they got to be creative and scoring runs. Hopefully, that's something they can work on, especially this weekend against the hapless New York Mets squad.
Yeah, 5 RBIs for Horner in that rubber match win to take the series. So, yeah, like you said, I mean, the Mets, we'll get to the Mets in a little bit here. But, yeah, this is kind of a perfect time for them to take advantage of a Mets squad that has had their struggles this year. So, hopefully, they can get it going there. You've got Edward Cabrera, who didn't have a good showing in his last start, hoping to redeem himself against Kadai Singa. And it's going to be very interesting to see if the weather is supposed to be it's going to be a little warm today, but it's going to be cooler both tomorrow and Sunday. So hopefully the Cubs can kind of play off what they did against the Phillies and kind of not depend on the long ball too much and just, play the small ball like that. That's what got them that win, like that series win against the Phillies. So that Mets series should be very interesting, to say the least. So we'll see what happens with that. Here are your starters for that matchup for tomorrow. You've got Jamison Taillon against Freddie Peralta. Peralta, we know he's done very well against the Cubs, so hopefully the Cubs can get the good Peralta against him tomorrow. And Javier Assad and David Peterson, who's 0-3, so in that rubber match. So hopefully the Cubs take advantage of that and get that game. So yeah, it doesn't get, like I said, it doesn't get any easier for the Cubs. We've been saying for the last couple of weeks. After this, they got to play the Phillies again for 4 here over at Wrigley. You also got to go out west against the NL West, the Dodgers and the Padres out there in California. So you got to kind of take it one series at a time here at Cubs, because it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, just keep winning series, keep playing Cubs baseball, keep getting good starting pitching. And the bullpen has been shaky to start off the year, just like around this time last year. But obviously, some guys stepped up, and Craig Counsell helped figure those players that stepped up in the bullpen last year helped figure things out for Craig Counsell, making his job a little bit easier. So if the bullpen can just step up, and like you said, with the weather turning the way it's going to turn tomorrow and Sunday being cool in the low to mid 50s, if the Cubs can hit the home runs out, they got to be aggressive, steal bases, play hit and run, bunt, suicide squeeze, create some runs, because like we said with the Mets, we'll get to them in just a minute. If the Cubs just keep playing their ball and get some good pitching, both from the starters and the bullpen, I think they'll be okay.
All right, listen to Second City Sports on Sports. LaKeena, McGee, Steve Brown with you, talking some baseball here in this segment as we start the show. Going to the White Sox, and they got swept by the Rays. They should have won that game yesterday. The bullpen, not good, and now they're back down to being having the worst record in MLB. So Sid, and it doesn't get any easier for the White Sox either. They're out west right now, and they'll face the A's. Well, we call them the Oakland A's here. Still, I know they're playing the Sacramento, but that's whatever. But what the hell happened in that Rays series, Sid?
Let's see. I will start out with the positive first, sorta. Nick Schultz, the hometown guy,
No,
made his debut. Yeah, Nick Schultz. Noah Schultz, I should say. Excuse me. Made his debut on Tuesday. We saw the potential that he has. 6'10", left-handed guy. Of course, he was dominating the minor leagues. And you saw the good and the bad, especially that first inning throwing error, which allowed Tampa Bay to score the 2 runs to grab an early 3-0 lead, which turned out to be the difference in the game, despite Mooney Murakami's 2-run home run to cut the deficit in the ninth inning on Tuesday. But you saw the potential that can happen with Noah Schultz. He was nervous, and his family is there. His high school team was there. I think he was nervous a little bit. Anybody could be with their very first game, but I thought later in the game he settled down. I thought he was okay. Let's see how he fares out, because I believe he's going to pitch on Sunday, and so we'll see what happens in his first game on the road. Now, Sam Antonacci, we saw him in spring training. He was doing very well. We saw him in the World Baseball Classic with Team Italy. He did very well there. They brought him up the next day, put him at second base, put Chase Mydroff on the bench. I found that to be kind of weird, but whatever. But this Sox offense has been a problem, LaKeena, all year long. And with Will Venable, partially due to injuries, mixing up the lineup cards to see who could do what. I know that Everson Pereira had a home run yesterday, and I know that Edgar Carroll had a couple of hits yesterday. I know he was robbed of a home run by Simpson of Tampa Bay yesterday, but this offense needs a big enema, a big purge outside of Murakami and maybe Miguel Vargas to a lesser extent. This offense needs to purge. The outfielders that they have out there right now, they cannot produce a damn thing in terms of RBIs. It's just embarrassing. And then the bullpen, we talked about it all year long. Despite the Sox having the best team ERA all year long since April 3rd, that bullpen and Anthony Dominguez blowing another save yesterday, that just cannot happen.
Yeah, I heard about that. Sir Anthony Dominguez did not have a good showing. Trying to keep the Sox in it. And unfortunately, they were able to take advantage of talk about the Rays, so they get their fifth straight win. And Noah Schultz, if I saw the moment that he had with his dad when if you guys saw that when he got the call up, and even I started crying. That was a really sweet moment. You like seeing those moments where they get to share that news with their family and friends, or even their old coaches. So that was really cool. Unfortunately, we'll see. We'll see how he does. I'll get the pitching matchups up for that one. But the White Sox are just one of those teams where you thought that maybe they're starting to make inroads, or starting to make it, starting to make little, steps, to get accelerating. But unfortunately, they go back to the bad habits. The bullpen, leaving guys in scoring position. It just wasn't enough, for that series. It's a Rays team that actually looks like they're pretty good. So we'll see if they can, get it going here against as they go out west against the A's. Here are your pitching matchups. For tonight, you get Davis Martin against Savali, of course, former White Sox, Aaron Savali. So he's 2-0, so he's been pitching pretty well. So we'll see if the White Sox can try to get advantage of that. Eric Fetty against Luis Severino. On tomorrow, and for the rubber match, of course, it is Noah Schultz. We'll see if he can kind of get it. I think he wasn't too bad once he got the nerves settled in, but he hopefully being away in Sacramento, that could get the pressure off him a little bit. He'll face Jeffrey Springs in that rubber match, so hopefully the White Sox, all you can really ask for, just win one game. If you can win two, great, but that's not going to be easy against an A squad that's has been really solid so far this year.
Yeah, with the Oakland A's, they have some scrappers over here. Don't forget about Lawrence Butler. You have Nick Kurtz over there. Of course, my guy Brent Rooker is over there now. So, and they're managed by Mark Kotze, and that is a scrappy bunch. And their bullpen is a little bit better than I thought. Of course, Mason Miller, their former closest now with San Diego. We'll get more into them after the break. But that Oakland team is a scrappy squad, and their starting pitch is not too bad either. Are they going to win the AL West? Probably not. But if they continue to play like this, could that be a factor? Maybe. But uh, this is not the same Oakland team as a couple of years ago. You were battling them in Colorado for the worst record in baseball. So the Sox got to come in ready to play. Be aggressive on the base pass. Be smart on the base pass, by the way. And you got to clean up the defense because this team is still top 5 in total errors in baseball to start the year again. And that cannot happen either. So if they could still get some good starting pitching and give the bullpen some much needed time off, which means be aggressive on offense, hit and run, stealing bases, being smart on the base pass, be aggressive offense. If they could do those type of things, they could get back on track.
Yeah, I think they can. They can. Like I said, it's going to be tough, against the A's. But hopefully, look, the White Sox. Look, that they're. I think that it's there. I think that the talent is there. So just win one game. I think that you're still to go weak if you're the White Sox, because they got to play Arizona after that. And Arizona's been playing very well lately. We'll get to them in a minute here, but yeah, I mean the White Sox. Yeah, I don't know what more you can say about them at this point. I mean, just when you thought that, like I said, just when you thought that maybe they're starting to make little strides and inroads, it's just that now they're back to the White Sox team we've seen the last couple of years. So
yeah,
I don't know what else. What can you do at this point? Just try to get better.
Yeah, and GM Chris Getz, I know they're always making changes to the bottom half of the roster. And were there really some competition during spring training? Perhaps not with some guys, but you had to inject some much needed youth onto this team, guys that can actually play. We'll see what Sam Antonacci does, and like you say, we will see what Noah Schultz, I should say, does in his his first start on the road on Sunday. So if those young guys could come in and do what they're supposed to do, they may force Chris Getz to send down a couple of the guys back down to the minor leagues. We shall see. They've already done that with Shane Smith, and we'll see if they'll do some others if this continues.
All right, we got a couple more minutes here before we go to break. So a little bit of whole baseball news here. Tampa, they've won 6 in a row, of course, with that sweep against the White Sox. Meanwhile, the Yankees now, they win 2 out of 3 against the Angels. Well, they're finishing up their series. They split their series with the Angels, I should say. And considering that they had lost about 5 in a row before that, they've lost 7 of their last 9. Should the Yankees fans start to panic?
One word, yes. The Yankees bullpen during that series against the Angels, 7.48. That tells you all you need to know about the Yankees. The reason why they're struggling right now. And Mike Trout, for the Angels, hit a home run in all 4 games in this series. Become the first player since 1972 to hit a home run in 4 consecutive games at Yankee Stadium. And we all know that Mike Trout's on the downside of his career. Yes, he's playing center field this year, but he can still get it done with the bat. It was a great individual show between him and Aaron Judge. I had the chance to check a couple of games out in that series. It was a great series for the Angels. You mentioned they split the 4-game series with the Yankees. The Yankees, they got to get that pitching together. Their starting pitcher was not good. Max Fried didn't look good yesterday, as I mentioned. Given that statistic with their bullpen, it's been worse. So the Yankees, can they turn it around? Yes, they can, but they got to get their pitching together.
They play Kansas City starting tonight. A couple more before we go to break. Excuse me. The Orioles, they've lost 3 in a row. They lose their opening series against the Guardians. The Blue Jays, they've lost a couple in a row. They've had a lot of injuries. Boston, I don't know what you can say about Boston at this point, but I think they're starting to freak out there now. Real quick in the AL Central, the Tigers, they're kind of creeping up. They've won 6 in a row, sweeping the Marlins and the Royals. Now they go to Fenway Park against the Red Sox, and no one's really talking about them. I think if you're AJ Hits, you're fine with that. But but a nice rallying for the Tigers this 6-game streak.
Yeah, and their offense is starting to heat up. You saw that yesterday, especially with Riley Green coming through with a big hit to get the win for the Tigers. Another team I want to mention real quick. I know we're pressing up against time. It's the San Diego Padres. They won 8 in a row, including 11 out of their last 12. They won their game last night your Seattle Mariners by the score of 5-2. Mason Miller, as I talked about a moment ago, former Oakland A. He's now their closer, San Diego's closer. He has pitched, including last night, he's pitched 30 and 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball.
Yeah, 20 of his last 23 batters he has struck out. 30 of the last 38, 40 of the last 5, 50 of the last 70, 60 of the last 89. You guys know where I'm going with this. No other pitcher has done that in the last 50 years, any of those stretches. So they've been playing lights out right now. I'm talking about the Padres, and they now have new ownership. So that's big question here. They got the Chelsea owner Jose Feliciano and his wife Kwanzaa Jones. They're nearing a deal to buy the Padres for a record $3.9 billion. I should say that $1 billion. So we'll see if they can keep it up, and things might be looking up for the Padres.
All right, here's your schedule for this weekend in MLB. Shout out to our guy Brandon Schutz in the chat. We see you, buddy. Hope everything's well with you and your family. The New York Mets without Juan Soto. He's on a 10-day IL because of a calf strain. The Mets will face the Cubs this weekend in Wrigley Field. Baltimore will continue their 4-game series in Cleveland. The Atlanta Braves will take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Tampa will visit Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a good week this week, taking 3 out of 4 against the Nationals. San Francisco will head to our nation's capital to face the Washington Nationals. Kansas City, as LaKeena mentioned, they'll go to New York to face the Yankees. Milwaukee will face Miami. Detroit will face Boston in Fenway Park, and that's the first game of the Apple TV regional doubleheader tonight at 6 o'clock. Cincinnati will face Minnesota. St. Louis will face Houston. Houston on tough times right now. Colorado beat them at home in their series early this week. The LA Dodgers, who swept the New York Mets, they'll face Colorado this weekend. San Diego at Los Angeles to take on the Anaheim Angels. RIP to former slugger and 2002 world champion Garrett Anderson, who passed away earlier today. I'm sure the Angels will honor him before tonight's contest against San Diego. The White Sox will face the Oakland Athletics in Sacramento. Texas will face LaKeena, Seattle Mariners, and Toronto will face Arizona.
The game of the Apple TV regional will be Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. That'll be about an hour before, at about 5:40. Your other national television games, ESPN Unlimited will have Tampa and Pittsburgh, the second game of that series. Your Fox regional, the broadcast will be Atlanta and Philadelphia. And those of you out west look at Texas and Seattle. And your NBC, Peacock's will be on Peacock Sunday. You got that Atlanta-Philly game. I believe Andrew Jones is still going to do the game with Jason Minetti for that game. I don't know who they're going to do.
John Kruk.
Oh, Crucky. Oh, that should be that should be a fun.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my God. Oh God. Him and Minetti are going to have. They're going to be laughing. You might be laughing a lot during that broadcast. And that's just scheduled for this weekend in MLB.
Kyle Davidson gets a contract extension for the Blackhawks. Was well deserved. We'll have some NFL nuggets, and we'll have a whole lot more to wrap up our number 1. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You listen to Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. On Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel, you can find us at Sports Zone Chicago. And on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Chi. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not going to get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Whoops. Let's try an easy one.
Every day we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGetty, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Friday Funk Edition. You're live to load it. And we're live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid the Kid is me. LaKeena McGee is she. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid880. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and the IG.
Even though it's a little bit early, this is our sports potpourri segment, and we're going to get to the rest of the topics in the world of sports. We'll have, of course, our NBA basketball playoff power hour at the top of next hour. But everything else in between time, you can discuss it with us here on Second City Sports. Just go to our Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
Off-season camps are going on right now in the NFL, and a couple of big news here. All-Pro edge rusher Will Anderson and the Texans have agreed to a blockbuster 3-year extension worth $150 million, and with $134 million of that guaranteed, making it the highest paid non-QB ever. So a nice payday for the Texans and for him. So also includes a no trade clause. And also with off-season workouts going on right now throughout the league, Jacoby Brissett from the Cardinals, he's not going to attend phase 1 of that off-season program because he's asking for an extension that pays him as a starter. He's set to make a little over $9 million as well as $1.5 million guaranteed, and wants that security. I can't say I blame it. Arizona, right. They're willing to address it. So what do you think about those news, Sid?
Yeah, like I said, Arizona's in a rebuild after getting rid of Kyler Murray to the Minnesota Vikings, so they still have a long way to go there to try to get back to respectability. But as we said, it's going to be a long road ahead. Will Anderson for the Texans, we all know they had a top-rated defense in the league last year. You saw what happened in the playoffs. They had no offense. C.J. Stroud took a step back, and the eventual AFC champion New England Patriots took care of them in the divisional round. So hopefully if the Houston Texans will have healthy playmakers on offense, they're a Super Bowl contender. Their defensive salaries, we saw that last year. The Bears found that out a couple years ago under Matt Eberflus. Mm-hmm. You saw what happened there. And the Bears obviously were in dire straits then. But Houston has a top Super Bowl caliber defense. They just got to get the offense to be on that same level. So congrats to Will Anderson. He's definitely one of the best young defensive ends in the league. Bringing it back home here to Chicago quickly. I'm sure we'll get more into this deeper on Monday as we get you set for the NFL draft. Hopefully Ryan Post can find one of those guys in the draft with those 6 draft picks that he has in his back pocket.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We talked about Eric at home from NFL.com, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if the Bears do go with the best player available, if you will. And I think that's really going to be the key. If you're that part, will it be the best player available? Will it be someone there that they like, or do they trade back? We'll have to wait and see now. As far as Will Anderson is concerned, like I said, I've been a fan of his since he was at Alabama, and he's proven to be one of the top defensive edge rushers in the league. So he definitely has earned every penny of that money, $134 million guaranteed. hopefully, the Texans will have a breakthrough. Breakthrough that's going to be a very competitive AFC South this coming season. As far as Brissett concerned, look, he kind of held it down, if you will, with Murray still recovering. Now that that Murray is now with Minnesota, he's going to be kind of like that bridge guy, and I can't say that I blame him that he wants to get paid as such. Give him some security. He's been a journeyman in the league. He's been very solid. And I don't blame her for wanting that secure money, because I'm sure they are gonna I'm sure the Cardinals are gonna draft a QB, so he could be that bridge between Murray and whoever they end up drafting.
And plus, he has some good games for the Cardinals last year, so let's the Cardinals hold it and get that out of him again for this upcoming 2026 season. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena here with you. Coming up at the top of next hour will be our NBA playoff preview show in our Bulls Power Hour. We'll discuss the Bulls in their future with Billy Donovan and everything else in between, and we'll give you what you can look for starting tonight in the playing games for the 8th seed, both in the West and Eastern Conference, and of course the rest of the playoff field, which kicks off tomorrow. But first things first, LaKeena, let's do that hockey. Let's bring it home first. Kyle Davis, the GM, has been under fire by many Hawks fans, including yours truly. But Danny Wirtz disagree. I'm giving you a contract extension. I'm announcing on my own TV network. I like, according to Danny Wirtz, paraphrasing here, I like with some of the moves that you made, especially with our young guys coming up this year. Connor Bedard has taken another step in year 3. He was more healthier this year than last year. They did win their last home game of the year the other night. But LaKeena, call me crazy, but I would have waited till after what happened next year, because I was telling a couple of people the last 48 hours, even though this team has taken steps, and shout out to Jeff Blashill, their first year head coach. He got the most he did out of this team, especially with that surprising start to the season back in October, early November. But I still would have waited till after next year, because I want to see how Kyle Davidson puts together a team for next year, because they've been hovering around 74, 75 points the last 3 or 4 years, and that's not good enough to qualify for the playoffs. And with the step that Connor Bedard took this year, about my guy Tyler Bertuzzi, Anton Frondell, Frank Nazar, and some of the other guys that made a difference this year for the Blackhawks. You need the key veteran guys to go with that top line with Connor Bedard. And I hope Kyle Davidson, with that contract extension, yes, with that security and with that financial reward, he can relax, if you see my air quotes here, but he's still got to be aggressive this summer.
Well, you're basically just said what Ben Pope said from the Sun-Times, because he said the Blackhawks writer for the Sun-Times. He said the same thing. Like, look, the Blackhawks actually finished in the top 5 in NHL in attendance this season. So even though they finished near the bottom of the standings, and but I think, Danny Wirtz likes what he's doing, and I guess they like the fact that, hey, you know what, let's kind of get it going here, and look, hopefully they'll have some money to spend. Hopefully they'll spend it and bringing on a veteran presence that could be kind of like that go-to guy, that veteran presence that kind of help out those young guys like your Frondells or your Bedards and Nazars. And they'll have another top 5 pick this year in the NHL draft, so we'll see who they get from there. And look, it's one of those things where I think, Blackhawks fans are loyal, but they're loyal to a fault. So hopefully they can, Davidson can make some moves, and so far they've been okay, baby steps, I guess. But I think this is definitely a pivotal offseason for Davidson. I feel like this is really the pivotal part of it.
Yeah, and I said this to a couple of people for the last 2 days. I said the same thing. Now, with that contract extension, you still got to be aggressive. You got to be smart, and it's time for this team to take the next step. You're not going to change head coaches again, nor should you, because that's definitely going to set you back. You got to get the right young veteran pieces to go around Connor Bedard in that top line. You still got to be patient with Spencer Knight. I know he had a rough stretch to end the year, but I'm still a believer in him. We'll see what happens if Kyle Davidson agrees. But you can't live off, referring to Kyle Davidson, you can't live off, we drafted Frank Nazar, we drafted Connor Bedard, I got some of these young guys. Yes, that's great, but it's time for this franchise to win and start competing for playoff spots. And the work starts with him right now. We'll see what he does in the draft, but most importantly, free agency starting in July.
All right, let's talk about the NHL playoffs real quick. Some of your matchups. Well, yeah, so some of the matchups here. This should be a good one. This will be tomorrow. They start tomorrow. Triple header on ESPN. You got Ottawa and Carolina. That should be a fun one. Minnesota and Dallas, and the Battle of Pennsylvania. This should be a fun one. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Like I said, all three of these games are going to be on ESPN. So real quick, what's your synopsis of each of these series?
I'll just make predictions since we're pressed for time. I will pick your Hurricanes to beat the Senators in 6. The Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars. Maybe that's Commissioner Beavis Bettman calling right now. RP Les Robson. The Stars and the Wild. Minnesota's has had a good year. The Stars, they're always a team that's up to the cliff, but you can't push them over to get over the top. They always seem to fall off the cliff. The deeper they go in the playoffs. I'm taking the Minnesota Wild here in a slight upset here in 7. The Flyers and the Penguins. Congrats to the Penguins on making the playoffs again. The Flyers, to my surprise, they had 98 points this year, so they took the next step. But because of the veterans on that team, now this perhaps will be their last go round. I'm taking Pittsburgh in 6.
Yeah, I got the Hurricanes in 5. Dallas, I'm gonna take Dallas in 7, and I'll take Pittsburgh in 5. So those are predictions for those crop of games. And your next crop, you got the Kings in Colorado, your President's Cup winners. Montreal and Tampa, Boston and Buffalo. And the Utah Mavericks, first year of existence, facing Vegas. So I'll start here. Colorado, I'll say in 5. I'll give the Kings a game. This Montreal Tampa, gosh. I'll say Tampa in 6.
Okay.
Buffalo and Boston, I'll say Buffalo in 6, and I'll say Vegas in 6.
Okay, let me go to my schedule here. I will say the Avalanche in 5. I agree with you. The Kings will get a game, but they limped in the playoffs, and I don't like the way that team's playing right now. Congrats to Jonathan Quick, the former LA King goalie. I know he's with the New York Rangers this year and just announced his retirement. Also, Anze Kopitar, he's going to retire at the end of this year as well. Current member, longtime member of the Kings. The Lightning in Montreal series, I will go with Montreal in 7 to be opposite of you. The Bruins and Sabres, I'm cheering hard as hell for Buffalo, but I think Boston will get them in 6. And Utah, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes against Vegas, I'm going with Vegas in 6.
Yeah, just a quick reminder on Sunday, the Kings-Colorado game will be on TNT and True TV, streaming on Max. Montreal and Tampa will also be on TNT and True TV. That's your doubleheader. And Boston, Buffalo, and Utah and Vegas will both be on ESPN for that doubleheader on Sunday. Now, this game is not till Monday, but we'll just do predictions just because Anaheim and Edmonton. I'll say Edmonton in 5.
Excuse me, I'll one up you. I'm going with Edmonton in 6. Congrats to Coach Joe Quenneville, former coach of the Blackhawks. Of course, getting Anaheim into the playoffs. That's a good young squad. He got that program turned around in a couple of years. They're going to give Edmonton all they can handle, but Edmonton's to play here. Connor McDavid's the best player in hockey, the best player in the world. I think it's going to show up and show out, and they're going to teach Anaheim a lesson here along the way. So I got Edmonton in 6.
All right, and we'll talk more NHL playoffs, but yeah, those are our predictions for the first round of the NHL/Stanley Cup playoffs. And of course, you can catch the games on TNT, True TV, and also on ESPN.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports All Chicago Now Sports Potpourri segment. If you can see my hand glowing there, I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. LaKeena has some sports media nuggets for us, please.
Yes, the NFL and YouTube have agreed to a long-form contract review for a 5-game package. Of course, those games would used to be kind of like the Monday night doubleheader. So now instead, it's going to be on YouTube. So that part of it is going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, there have been some reports that maybe NBC could lose out on Sunday Night Football to one of the streaming services, Prime, maybe, perhaps. That's kind of the word that was been buzzing about the last couple of days. So, what do you think about those? What do you think about those news, those little nuggets? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I want to touch on the Sunday Night Football potential. I know NBC has invested heavily into since they had the NBA back now for the next 11 years. They had baseball back for the next 3 years, and of course they had the
Mhm.
Olympics. I think the Olympic contract runs out in 2035, if I'm not mistaken. So they still had the Olympics for the next several years, both winter and summer. The Summer Olympics are less than 2 years from now from Los Angeles, but if NBC loses Sunday Night Football here, that's going to take a huge shock because remember, that's the number one TV show in our country, the United States, over the last decade or so. It doesn't matter what the matchups are. The people love the NFL. They bet on it, whether it's fantasy or daily fantasy or just betting in general. People, or wherever your motivation is, people like to watch football. If they lose that to Amazon or Paramount Plus, that's going to be huge. And with these streaming services, I find it to be interesting. With these streaming services, a few of them that are not doing as well. They're merging with other streaming services. We won't get into that too much here, but the NFL is being progressive and moving in a different direction. I don't like it, but I get the times they're in right now. But as far as NBC is concerned, if they lose Sunday Night Football, they're okay in other sports, but the NFL is really their money maker outside the Olympics, and it's definitely going to be a huge hit. So I expect NBC to be aggressive here in keeping that package.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting though that if yeah, like if these are just rumors, so no one really knows for sure if this is
Hmm.
true or not. But I kind of feel like if you're the NFL, why would you want to take it off of NBC? That's where you make your money with your advertisements. That's where
Hmm.
NBC promotes all their shows and such and all the other sports. I mean, well, what's the point of doing that if you're going to take it off and not have it be available to as many eyeballs as possible? So for me, I think this would be a backwards move by the NFL. They take it off of NBC. NBC is kind of like this is sort of Sunday nights really like their nights. They're kind of like the king in that slot. That's helped them kind of propel over CBS in the overall race and well also the Olympics too.
Hmm.
This past couple of months ago, but it would be this would be a backwards move by the NFL. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but would I be shocked? No, but I think this would be there's this sort of quote unquote, if you want to say, investigation that why are all this happened that you're pulling all these some of these games, they're putting on streaming and even on services where people can't get it. But
Hmm.
again, hopefully they can figure it out, and hopefully this isn't the case.
Yeah, just a couple of nuggets here, real quick. The Olympics, both winter and summer, are every 4 years, and so ABC does make their money off there. But those events are every 4 years. And number two, with NBC getting Sunday Night Baseball for the next 3 years, NBC owns Sunday Night from January through December, and if they miss the NFL, that's 4 months there from September
Mhm.
through December. And what are you going to do to replace that prime time? That to replace that programming in prime time. ESPN is finding out the hard way right now with losing Sunday
Mhm.
Night Baseball for the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I know that that they said they're going to showcase women's sports, but I don't think you're going to get that big of a number with that. So if you're NBC, you better see if you can try to perhaps
Hmm.
maybe perhaps try to see like what can you do, perhaps keep this from happening. So there's going to be a lot of maneuvering here. CBS is going through this right now, trying to keep their contract. So it's going to be interesting to see if it somehow they'll all sides meet in the middle here.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Chicago City. LaKeena here with you. Breaking news from the friendly confines. According to Taylor McGregor, the Cubs field reporter for Marquee Sports Network, I'm reading this live, folks. The Cubs are placing closer Daniel Palencia on a 15-day IL with a left oblique strain. And she reported yesterday that Cade Horton did have the full Tommy John surgery, so he's going to be out. Talking about Cade Horton, he's going to be out for the rest of this year and through the first half of next year. Once again, the breaking news here: Cubs closer Daniel Palencia is going to be missing. So the bullpen has already had problems, so it's going to be facing some more challenges for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's already been taxed now. Though to their credit, they've actually been able to kind of hold it down. Now, police are going to be out for the next a couple of weeks through their stream forum. I mean, you hope that that's all it is, and hopefully they can just maybe miss a couple of weeks. Get the rehab started, and hopefully he can be back and to that form. But yeah, not a good showing for them. But with the old, like I said, they left the oblique strain. So hopefully he can just, he'll be back in a couple of weeks, get back into form. Now, as far as the K Horton news, I mean, we all kind of figured that was going to be the case. So that's unfortunate, but he'll probably go the Justin Steele run, probably back till about the middle of the next season. But you just got to do a next man up for the bullpen. Look, you've got guys there that can kind of help out. And as far as the starters are concerned, look, you got Lucas Giolito out there. Just saying.
Yeah, and there's rumors that the Cubs are interested in him. We'll see what happens there. Last topic before we close out hour number one. The men's basketball team, the Fighting Illini, who lost in the Final Four to the UConn Huskies. They have a couple of players returning. Brant Underwood is always getting back to work in preparations for the 2026-2027 season.
Yeah, of course, Keegan Blackler. Of course, we all kind of figured that was going to be the case. He was going to leave for the NBA. But Andrei Stojakovic, of course, this news came out about an hour ago that he's returning. The ABC Evolved twins are also returning as well. So they've got a lot of other rotation guys back. I'm talking about Illinois. Now, if they can get them if they can get like a couple of big guys from the top of the transfer portal, I think Illinois could be in business again for next season, maybe for another Final Four run, but you never know. So this is a good start for Coach Underwood and the Illini.
And also, too, we said this at the end of the year. We'll say it here. Brant Underwood has started a trend of getting those European players from overseas who played 1 and 2 years of pro ball over there and bringing them over here to gain some experience in college basketball. I'm sure that trend is going to continue here. We'll show those big-time coaches like Tom Izzo and Arkansas, Calipari, and some of those other big-time coaches. Will that trend catch on with those coaches to bring some of those foreign players over to play college basketball? We'll see what happens there.
Right, and a couple more news. I just missed it before. Oh yeah, the Bears are racing against the clock. I guess racing. The Arlington Heights decision. I guess they're starting to kind of get it going finally over at Springfield. And look, I'm sure. Look, they're going to say it all Arlington Heights. So for people who are saying, "Oh, they're going to go to Indiana," no, that's not happening. So it's just going to be official to probably maybe by the summer it'll be official. But whatever.
I'm with you. I can't wait till this stadium foolishness is all over and done with, and it's just getting everybody a headache, whether you're a sports fan or not. Hour number one in the books. Hour number two is straight ahead right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. When we return, it's our Bulls NBA playoff preview show, Power Hour, with the panel that you love. We'll give you the latest on the Bulls and Billy Donovan. What kind of candidates are expected to be interviewed for this job, and we'll give you our predictions for tonight's playing games with the 8th seed on the line from both in the Western and Eastern Conference, and we'll get the stage set up for this weekend's playoff matchups, both in the Eastern and Western Conference. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. every day. No matter where we serve, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Everybody in a work zone is someone's somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
Number 2 is Second City Sports on the hashtag Friday Fun Edition. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid the Kid is me. LaKeena McGee is she. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and again IG.
This is our Chicago Bulls / NBA playoff preview power hour. So if you have any questions or comments regarding the Bulls or the NBA playoffs, you definitely hit us up right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get that up on the screen for you.
All right, we got our whole panel here with us, so let's get right to it. He is 1/3 of the CHGO crew. He's a big Bulls fan. He'll tell it like it is. He's the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Mac Peck. Mac, how are ya?
Hey, LaKeena, Sid, what's going on, y'all? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How are ya?
Thrilled that the Bulls weren't in the play-in tournament, because the play-in tournament was actually a lot of fun to watch if I wasn't dreading the Bulls being 12th in the lottery again.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second here, but let's get to the other third of that great group. He's super cool from Ballon Sports as well, also from CHGO. He's the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Big Dave Watson. Dave, what's up?
Listen, it's WrestleMania weekend, so that's what my brain is right now, baby. I am focused on wrestling, but always down to talk Bulls with y'all, man, for sure. What up, man?
I'm honestly surprised you're here, Dave. I just figured it would just be wrestling 24/7 in your brain through the next. Like, we got a show at 4 o'clock. I figured you're just going to talk wrestling the whole time.
That's very fair, but you can go see the wrestling show that is out right now, CHGO Wrestling. You can check that out right now. We're previewing it, but LaKeena and Sid asked me to be on a while back. I wasn't able to do it because I was out of town. So I told them, just let me know the very next time. I will make sure I'm here. She told me it was this time. So making sure I'm here because I got their back like that.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate it too. Thanks, Dave. Sid, our other gang is with us. So can you introduce them, please?
Yes, from On Air Daily, he's the vice president and editor over there for that great media outlet. He's our guy, the one and only Mr. Joshua M. Hicks. Josh, welcome back to the show, my man.
What's up, everybody? I'm glad to be back. I very much like Dave. I unfortunately couldn't make the last time, so I had to make sure that I was here for this go round, and I'm glad that I'm on here with all you all. Shout out to CHGO, my family over there. Love y'all.
Yes, sir.
What up, Josh? Good to see you, man.
Glad to be back.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, glad to have you back here, Josh. This is definitely going to be fun. And last but definitely not least, he is the host of the Narratives Per Possession podcast. You can see right here on YouTube. He's Chicago area's very own Mr. Morris Banks. Welcome back to the show, my man. How are you doing?
I'll have a Sam Jackson as well. I was supposed to be on, but I also couldn't make the last time. So glad to be on. Thank y'all.
Well, old friends, reconnecting you. You gotta love that. So let's get right to it. We got a lot to cover here within the next hour or so. So yeah, let's talk about the Bulls. We'll keep it short and sweet, Matt. Don't worry. But with the front office changes, we're still waiting Billy Donovan's decision. So Matt, I'll start with you. What do you think's gonna happen? What are your predictions and all the other stuff?
Man, it's so hard to know, honestly. Like, I still don't know what's gonna happen. I think the longer we're waiting, maybe it means that it's less likely that Billy will come back. Because we were talking about it on the show yesterday with Goat. I was talking about it with Tim Legler yesterday, and I was chatting with him. It's just like there's not many basketball answers that the Reinsdorfs can provide Billy Donovan right now. They don't have a front office. So when it comes to the draft combine next month, who they're going to prioritize with these 2 first-round picks, their path back to being a competitive NBA team, the Reinsdorfs have none of those answers for Billy. So either he needs to take a blind leap of faith and say, I want to remain in this job and we'll be competitive when we're competitive and I want to help, build that and stay here. Or I really don't want to do that. And I don't have faith that whoever they hire will help them figure it out and that I can figure it out with them. So I think part of me thought that soon after that meeting, we would get a quick answer from Billy. And the answer was, thanks for everything, but y'all be good. I'm out. I still think that that's the more likely outcome. I think maybe Billy's just, taking some time to put thought and effort and care into the decision. But if I'm Billy Donovan, I wave bye to them after my, press conference after they lost to Dallas. Like I would, maybe, okay, I'll give the Reinsdorfs the time of day to sit down at that meeting, but the Bulls are not going to be competitive, I don't see, for the next few years unless something drastic happens. And Billy wants to win. And at least still right now, I think he is a hot commodity and could get another NBA head coaching job if he wanted to. I don't know if that would be the case, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So I think if Billy wants to strike while the iron's hot and pivot to a team that is more ready to win and compete right now, that's what he should do.
Josh?
I concur with the wonderful sentiment of the Matt Peck. However, but it's just interesting though, because at the end of the day, the Bulls are doing Billy Donovan a disservice, as well as the fans a disservice. I don't understand how or why they would want to keep Billy Donovan, knowing that they're going to need a new front office, and this rebuild is going to take most likely another 3 to 5 years to fully even get the Bulls back into some sort of contention. Knowing Billy Donovan, you gave him an ample amount of years even here with talent, and it did not go anywhere except for one playoff appearance. I think you had enough to see that maybe with this direction right now, knowing what you know about Billy Donovan and his mindset, don't do him a disservice by trying to keep him in a rebuild that, quite frankly, he does not deserve to be in. If he needed to do a rebuild, he should probably go back to the college ranks and do what he was great at when he does in Florida. So I think you're doing him a disservice. I hope he is at the point where he has to go to them and say, hey, I thank you for all that you've done for me. You've set me and my family up in a great position. But at the end of the day, this situation does not suit what's best for me, and I need to move forward and I need to move on. I hope he has to give them that service, because the fact that the Reinsdorfs aren't doing it isn't just telling you what they think about Billy Donovan. It's telling you what they think about the franchise and the direction they want to go with the franchise. And it's not necessarily a good one, even though it's a good start to clean fresh in the front office capacity.
Dave?
I mean, both are correct. I mean, absolutely right and very well said. For me, like looking at it, there's no basketball reason that Billy Donovan would stay. I see it more of a power reason that he would stay, more so than basketball. Like, they're telling him, hey man, we want you. You know what I mean? We want to have you. What do you want? We'll do anything to keep you. I'm begging you, please, on their knees, flowers, candy. What do you need? You know what I'm saying? Car, what do you want? And it's like, if that's going to be the case, I could see the point. He could take care of his son, continue to keep his son on in any capacity that he wants to be on, whether it's G League coach, whether it's assistant coach, however he wants to do. If he wants to one day decide to do front office stuff, I'm sure they're cool with that too. So the power side of it, I completely see and I completely get. But the basketball side, I just knowing and seeing, well, let me just say, seeing how Billy Donovan operates, it's a guy who wants to win, like all the time. I want to win. And Josh, you brought up a great point, like saying he's doing him a disservice. to try to make him go through it again. You know what I mean? When he really honestly didn't want to do it the first time. Like, he wanted to do it because he was like, oh, it's a quick one. Smooth, cool. All right, fine. You know, let's move this. All right, let me get to it. And so for him to continue to go through that and let his record pile up all these losses, it's the most losses of his coaching career here in the NBA. It's here with the Chicago Bulls. And I'm sure he doesn't want that to be continued on his resume. But, I mean, it's his decision. I think he's gone. That's how I looked at it, is how I feel about it. Maybe I think you'll know more after this game tonight in Orlando, how it's going to be and how's he feeling. But I think he'll be out of here, man. And to Matt's point, because he's right, we were discussing this yesterday, like ownership trying to sell him on something that doesn't exist yet. Like, for me, the point I was bringing up yesterday was, even if, you know, they were just trying to say anything to bring him back, even though there's nothing there, I don't trust them as salesmen to give a good answer, since they don't have their finger on the pulse of the team about what's going on anyway. So it doesn't matter that they don't have a GM. It doesn't matter that they don't have a vice president of operations. I don't think they could present to him something, even with that not being there. I don't think there's nothing they could really present to him without knowing what's going on the team. Like, if Mark Cuban was doing this, I think he could have a better shot at presenting to Billy Donovan what's going on and what it should be with the Dallas Mavericks, because he actually knows what's going on with the team. They don't know what's going on like that, bro. You know, they're golfing. You know what I mean? They chilling. They don't know what's happening like that with the squad. So, yeah, looking at all that and just compiling all that and hearing the two brilliant points by Matt and Josh, man, like I'm third that. I would third what they said on that. Yes.
Mo?
Yeah, I mean, I really can't add too much different there. I don't have a high confidence level that Billy Donovan is coming back to coach the Chicago Bulls at this point. I was chatting with a friend earlier this week, and I think when the reports that have been happening this week with Billy Donovan, so he has his meeting with ownership, goes and drives back to Florida at this point, right? That sure does remind me a lot how his last season with Oklahoma City ended. And there was, the reports of, the deposed executive Arturas Karnisovas is like, hopping on a plane or whatever he did to go intercept Billy Donovan before he even got there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if Billy Donovan was here, if he was locked in to coach another season of the Bulls, I don't know if he would really be spending time in Florida. I would think, like a coach, he'd be getting ready for the next season, because that's just how coaches are wired. That's my hypothesis. I think, there is a team that's relevant to him where he's sitting right now that's going to be playing a game tonight. I'm sure he might be viewing that not just a casual Orlando Magic fan. He might really be sitting there doing some homework tonight about, okay, what do I need to do there, hypothetically, if that were to come available to me. There's I believe Billy Donovan is doing a lot of analysis today, one way or another. And at the same time, I would be shocked if that analysis is going to lead him back to another season of whatever the Rhinestones think they can sell him on.
Yeah, I mean, to Mo's point about how desperately AK went to pin down Billy Donovan to begin with, even though AK's gone, like, honestly, I thought just rushed through my head that, like, makes me think Billy's gone even more. If the Bulls really wanted to keep him, they would have probably had to pull like a Clippers DeAndre Jordan move and like literally lock him in a hotel room with like a chair under the doorknob. Like, you're not leaving, Billy. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to leave. He got out the door. I think that was his escape.
Yeah.
I really think it. No, go ahead.
Yeah, real quickly, Kim, before you go on to your next question, I'd just like to piggyback off a couple of points to Josh, and we talked about it on the show, LaKeena, on Monday. That each passing day that goes by that Billy Donovan is still paid by you. You're holding that man hostage. I'm using air quotes to anybody that can see my air quotes. And that's doing this disservice to the new people that are going to come here trying to turn this thing around. I'm with you guys. I think Billy Donovan will eventually. Don't forget, off the court, he lost his father this year and had a couple other things happen to within his family. So maybe he'll take a break and then come back and coach the following season. That's what he decides to do. Now, to Mo's point, if we all talk about focusing on the Orlando Magic tonight, this is just me talking now. Just me talking. Pay attention to these two teams as they start their playoff runs tomorrow. the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. And both those teams don't even get to at least the conference finals. I can see Billy Donovan coaching in one of those places next year.
Well, yeah.
Because remember, real quick, LaKeena, remember the New York Knicks asked the Bulls to talk to Billy Donovan. The Bulls said no.
Yes. Yeah, they did. And to piggyback off what you guys already said, that I think, and Dave, you and I talked about it too in our chat, that I think that's what he's waiting on. I think that, well, that's just one of the jobs. I think that Orlando job is what he's waiting on, because whatever happens, he's lived in that area for a long time. I think his sons still live, his other sons still live in that area. So I think that's going to be the key to see what happens tonight, whether win or lose. Like Mo said, like you said, I mean, he's doing some analysis, one or the other. So I don't think he goes back to the Bulls. Now, when we'll get that news, that's going to be the $1 million question.
Yeah, and LaKeena, just think of this point in Billy Donovan's career. Like, when has he been this coveted? When has he been this desired? You know what I mean? We just mentioned the Bulls driving down or going down to Florida to pick him up and are begging him to stay. You know, y'all have been in relationships. You know, sometimes when people are putting too much on it, it's too much. You're like, dude, back up off me. You know what I'm saying? Like, go home somewhere with that. You know, this is too much. But to also be desired by other people outside like that who are checking you out. Like, when has Billy Donovan had this kind of moment in his career as a coach? I mean, even Mike Malone ain't get these kind of looks that Billy Donovan is getting out here, bro. You know, and Mike Malone said, no, I'm going to just go ahead and take this college one. It's all good. This is a good move for me right here. Billy is like, nah, man, you know, they all want me. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming out with the taco meat out with the 3 buttons down so everybody can see. You know, your boy is out here. You got the chain on and all. Your boy is out here, bro. So shout out Billy Donovan, man. And I just want him to make the best decision as far as winning is concerned, you know, and his career. Because like Matt said, it ain't about to happen here. You know, for the next couple of years, this is a rebuild going on here in Chicago, man. And we won it. This is how it's supposed to be. But this is a rebuild happening right here, bro. And Billy is rightfully trying to win.
Yeah, you know, I think that Knicks call out is very important as well, because I mean, even though Billy is sitting in Florida right now, Billy Donovan is a native New Yorker. And there is footage out there. If you really go digging, there's an old school picture of Billy Donovan in a Knicks uniform.
I saw that. Yep.
When his coach, his college coach Patino coached him, right?
Yep.
That if Mike Brown gets that quick exit and he's pushed out the door, that is another thing there that, like, I don't think can be ignored about Billy Donovan, given the fact that the franchise has already made that first strong move to try to get him, but obviously that was shut down by the Bulls pretty quickly. Like, Billy Donovan on the open market now, be hard to ignore the opportunity, the storyline, just the narrative of, you know, Billy Donovan being an MSG for that franchise, given what also the basketball sense of it as well. What do we know about Billy Donovan? More than anything, he wants a solid point guard in his roster, and he's going to walk right into that. He's going to walk in with a winning team, vets. There's not going to be a draft pick who's a toolsy wing that he's just going to ignore. Like, he's going to get after it probably with that Knicks roster.
I'm gonna have PTSD when I hear the phrase "toolsy wing" for
right.
Oh Lord,
right up there with continuity.
Oh Lord, no, oh God, no.
Hey,
competitive integrity.
Shout out to the playoff bound Dalen Terry. That's right.
Hey.
Toolsy wing.
Yes.
Toolsy wing, baby. Toolsy wing.
And stretch big Hunter Drummond too.
Oh yes.
Oh my
Hit that
God.
3 to seal it. Shout out to him, man.
Oh my God.
You'll listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. As you can tell, we're having fun with our illustrious panel. Matt Pack and Big Dave Watson from CSGO, Mo Bankster and Joshua Hicks as well. With LaKeena McGee, I'm Sidney Brown. Let's wrap up our Bulls conversation. Of course, the Bulls will have $65 million or so under the cap this summer, the most by any team in the NBA. They currently have 6 players on the roster going into next year. Mo, I'll start with you. Who, if you were in charge, who will be your new GM or executive to run this team starting next season?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll tell you who it would not be for me, just because the name's been tossed around a lot. I definitely am not in the Bob Myers camp. I think on the surface level, yes, he has 4 rings, but you really have to dig into the history of how that Golden State dynasty was put together and who really was involved, and perhaps like behind the scenes as well, right? Like even before Bob Myers arrived to that GM seat, Jerry West, when he's still alive, was consulting, and there's just a pedigree that Jerry West obviously has as a talent evaluator, and you could perhaps give some credit to Bob Myers for drafting Draymond, but he didn't draft Steph and Clay, right? So like the Bulls need somebody that is like 10 of 10 on talent evaluation. So I can't say I would want that person. And I suppose, I mean, that's the thing. I think about that more than the name right now. It's like, who is the best talent evaluator the Bulls can go and convince that, like, this is where you can thrive. This is where you can have a successful career. This is where you can bring us back with your talent evaluation skills. So this is probably not the perfect answer, but I think that's the most important thing the Bulls need. They have to have a 10 of 10 talent evaluator for 2026 also. Somebody that actually understands modern talent right now, because like the Bulls haven't had that basically since like John Paxson lost his fastball, I would say around 2010, 2011. Like they just have not been able to understand where talent and where this game has gone for the last 15 years.
Oh, Dave.
So for the type of GM, I needed to be someone who completely has their finger on the pulse of the team and knows everything about the team and even what the coach wants and even what type of player the coach actually develops the best. So I need to know that. I want that kind of GM to be here on the team. Now, obviously being a Bulls fan, we've seen the type of GMs that they kind of bring in. Some have those qualities, and then they'll get a coach and don't agree with the coach, and then they're choking them up around Christmas time. And sometimes before that, you'll have one coming off championships who will pick some talent, but then just can't pick a coach or won't be able to pick the right kind of talent. So sometimes you get good stuff, and you give away good stuff. But I mean, that's life. But I agree 100% with Mo as far as Bob Myers. Like, I don't want him, and I don't think he wants to be here at the same time. So I think I'm okay with that. For me, I think this is just me, how I feel. I feel like they land on a guy like Masai Ujiri. And it just feels like that is the kind of Bulls GM that fits that Bulls kind of DNA. He's stubborn. You know what I mean? He will fight you. He makes moves sometimes that I'll be like, I don't know about that one. But at the same time, when you're looking at the pedigree, you're like, oh yeah, he's gotten the job done for multiple years. Then makes a huge trade to bring in Kawhi and ends up winning the championship, you know what I'm saying, up off of that. So all of that was his imprint. All of that had his fingerprints all over what the team really, truly needed at that point in time. Because I remember when that trade was made and people didn't like it at all. They hated it because of who DeMar DeRozan, was and what he meant to them. And he kept saying, look, it's about winning. I'm trying to win a championship, okay? I love DeMar, but we could not get over the hump. It didn't work. We're cutting bait, and we're trading him at the right time. So that I like because he understood the timing of stuff. Matt has completely yelled about that a million times. Bulls are holding on to guys way too late, past their prime, and then not getting anything for them. We just saw it with all these guys that they traded and ended up with no first-round picks for them and even losing a pick because they were fools. So bringing in somebody who has the finger on the pulse, but is also stubborn, but will also feel like he'll have loyalty to this, organization and this ownership is the kind of guy I think that the Bulls should get and will settle on, because I just want to win. We all just want to win in the end of this. So I can bring in a guy who has shown he has built teams to win, and especially has built them through the draft. I'm with him.
Matt?
Well, I mean, speaking of Dave's mentioning the anger that I have felt while AK just sat on this broken roster for years and waited too long and then finally sold Kobe, Ayo, and Vooch for scraps, the first name I would bring up has done the opposite of that, and that's Zach Kleiman in Memphis. It's still a very big what will happen when it comes to Ja Morant, their current and last several years, better part of a decade franchise player. but he sold high on Desmond Bain, like high on Desmond Bain. He sold high on Jaren Jackson Jr., and in the meantime has also been making all kinds of great picks. Like, okay, Zach Edey at 9, whatever, but like Gigi Jackson was a second-round pick. Cam Spencer was a second-round pick. Who else am I? They, obviously at 11, one spot ahead of the Bulls, he took Big Dave's love affair, Cedric Coward, who looks like he's on his way to being a star in the NBA. Desmond Bain was pick 30. Santi Aldama was pick 30. Like, this dude knows how to draft and draft from 1 to 60. The evidence is there. And he is ahead of trends. Michael Reinsdorf said in his press conference, our front office needs to be better at recognizing trends and getting ahead of them instead of catching up to them. Yeah, most of the league found out in 2013 that a three-pointer is worth more than a two-pointer. And we kind of dragged our feet on that a little bit. So, like, for the love of God, drafts, or pick somebody who's great at evaluating talent in the draft and can also execute solid trades where you're getting the winning end that looks ahead, not in the present. And then for similar reasons, Brian Wright in San Antonio, I don't know if it's possible to pry him away from that winning organization and convincing him to come to this broken, embarrassing one. But for the love of God, you got to try. You got to make that phone call. Like Wemby, Castle, Harper, those are high lottery pick no-brainers. He also just took Carter Bryant at 14, and Carter Bryant looks like he's going to be a really solid player in this league. He also, like Kleiman, has a great track record on trades recently. Derek White, Jakob Poeltl, DeJounte Murray. None of those three players are like NBA megastar or even like perennial all-star. They're kind of on that fringe. They're sub-stars. He got value for all three of those players in trades. That's quality front office workmanship that the Bulls have not had in a long freaking time. So look around the league. Find the people who are doing the best jobs at executing trades and drafting well from 1 to 60, two things that the Bulls have been sorely lacking at between the back end of the Garpax era and all of the AK era, and start with that list of names.
Josh?
I agree with pretty much what everyone is saying, and I think I do think they are going to settle because it's just the Bulls. So I think they are going to settle and get someone like a Masai Ujiri. But I wouldn't even be too upset about that because the Bulls, very much like what Mac and Mo and really harped on, which is the talent evaluation. You definitely have to have someone who can pick in the draft, evaluate those trends, evaluate the talent, and see what meshes it comes together with the coach that they do hire. At the same time, though, you are the Chicago Bulls, the third largest market in the world. You should be able to attract stars. You have to attract the big names, and you get and you have to have someone who knows how to get meetings with the big names. Masai Ujiri is someone who knows how to do that and has brought a championship with big names. So I'm not necessarily against that, especially when you think about front office people that are kind of older in that stubborn era, but have left offices and have come back. Look what's happened in New Orleans. Joe Dumars left the league for a nice little minute in that front office. He came back and turned around to a point where they're in the playoffs this year in a way that they never expected. Plus, he kept Zion healthy enough to reach a career high in games in the season. So I'm just saying that could be some hope with that. I'm not saying it's the absolute solution, but even with Masai Ujiri, that should be the bare minimum you should go after, considering you have these other young upcoming talents in the front office that you need to consider, like the name that Matt Peck mentioned. So it's a combination of everything that everyone has said. But if you are the Chicago Bulls, you need to act like you are the Chicago Bulls that won 6 championships in the third largest market in the world. Take advantage of that by getting the big names that you can to correlate with some of that draft pick, the trends and the draft talent evaluation and things of that sort. So that way you're not just drafting talent, but you're also building the talent to pair with superstars that want to attract and come to Chicago for the long term to get the Bulls back to the stardom that they once were.
And that is a fact. And that's why I keep saying Masai Ujiri is their guy, because I'm like you said, Josh, feel like that's the landing spot for him. You know what I mean? Like they're not a team that has shown they want to, think outside the box or have these, new young guys come in, that can, oh man, this is a new kind of thing, change up. No, bro, like nothing I've seen them do has said that ever. When I think Masai Ujiri, I feel Kenny Williams. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about it when I see it. And it's like, oh yeah, he won. He could bring in the guys. He's cool. He's stubborn. He's got all this stuff that they like. He even can tap into the nostalgia aspect of all that correctly. But at the end, how long is it going to be sustained? You know what I mean? That's why I just feel like, that's why I keep saying I just feel like it's Masai Ujiri form. And I'm not completely mad about this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not upset. Like, I know winning is going to come with it, but it's just basically what I've seen this front office do. And I have to go off of what I've seen ownership continuously do all the time. See, and that's how I won't be let down when he does kind of end up here and they don't get those guys, as Matt is mentioning, in Memphis, because that is the main dude that they should be absolutely going after there. But I don't think it will be. I just think you'll get Masai Ujiri and some winning will come with that. If a championship comes with that, I'm with it. It's not like he's terrible, but I do feel there are better candidates. I just feel like that's where they're going to land on.
Yeah. You know, the thing that comes to mind when you talk about Masai Ujiri and his peak powers, you know, in retrospect, what his competitive advantage was as an NBA executive when he's in front of the Raptors, right? He was getting a lot of accolades for the type of G League program that they had, and you know the talent he was able to collect out of that.
That's true,
and that's not necessarily like that doesn't mean that like he's going to copy and paste that to like whatever he would do as a Bulls executive. But it's worth pointing that out because as I think about like both Masai, but then probably the more optimized version of that is like a Zach Kleiman, whose advantage really has been his draft record. Like that's also like I might add that to the mix, right? So it's got to be a solid talent evaluator. To Matt's point, also like someone's going to win the deals, but then you do need that. Like it has to be a unique advantage that executive is going to bring to figure out how do they fill in the gaps to keep the ship steady when you're waiting to get lucky, basically, when you're waiting for a Kawhi to show up in a deal opportunity, or you just hit the lottery and get a Wemby. Like, you know, it's got to be some of that too, where it's like there's a clear advantage that they're going to go forward with, and it's a confident one, it's a real one. It isn't just 9-10 good guys, but a real advantage. Like that's what the executive needs to bring to the table, in my opinion.
And look, I think it's fair to bring up the cachet thing with Masai Ujiri, and as you know, Josh was talking about, like you need somebody who can lure those big names to this big market and actually make the Chicago Bulls act like a big market team again. As long as the Rhinestones own the team, that's not going to happen. Like, sorry, it's just not. I also think if you're talking about picking a new front office to build things from the ground up, you got to look towards more so a front office executive who can win trades and draft well, 1 to 60, as I said. Because the old days of NBA free agency is dead. And until that changes with a new CBA and the way that works, I'm not worried about a front office executive who can come be like a big star, you know, whore, like, hey, star, you want to sleep together tonight? Hey, star, you want to come sleep together in my luxurious Chicago hotel room tonight? Like, no, that doesn't exist in the NBA anymore. Free agency is dead. So you better pick somebody who is really good at building quality rosters the other two ways that exist outside of free agency, and that's trades and drafting.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see who they go. Just quick set. It's gonna be interesting where they go with, because all the names you mentioned, you know, we've heard Matt Lloyd's name, the GM from Minnesota. We've heard Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s name as well. Even Kyle Korver, if you want to go nostalgia with the former Bulls. So Lord knows what they'll do, but it's gonna be fascinating to see what the Bulls do with what happens.
I don't need hot sauce in my front office.
Love it. I was gonna say Stacey King would go bananas.
Oh Lord,
the guy.
I want mild sauce in my front office, not hot sauce.
Hard.
Give me the reliable stuff.
You did.
Exactly.
We're halfway home with our Bulls/NBA playoff preview power hour right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's LaKeena, and that was Mo Bankston, Joshua M. Hicks, Matthew Peck, and Big Dave Watson are hanging out with us. And now let's turn our attention over to the rest of the NBA. And before we get the guys' playoff predictions, let's set the table for the predictions for tonight's 2 play-in games. Both can be seen on Amazon Prime Video, not TNT for you casual folks out there. The Hornets and the Magic will play for the 8th spot, while the Warriors and the Suns will play for the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Big Dave Watson, I'll start with you. Who are your winners for tonight's contest?
Well, I think it's over for Orlando personally. I think it's a wrap. I think they're done. After that stuff came out about, the rumor about what's going on in their locker room, and the player, like, if he, if we lose, I'm asking for a trade, and all this other kind of stuff started coming out. Then I watched the way they played in that game. It wasn't so much that they lost; it was the way that they played. I was watching it. I was like, oh yeah, I don't think they want to be together out here on the floor, bro. Like, it just don't look right. And then Charlotte is serious, like Charlotte wants this bad, and looking at it, it just looks like they're ready to go to Cancun and they're ready for some kind of change. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Charlotte. Even Paulo said it in the press conference talking about Charlotte during the regular season. He was like, yeah, they kicked our ass. Like we what? No, bro, don't say that. Like, don't say that. But yeah, like, it just sounds like they're ready. And Charlotte is incredibly hungry. Also, I think LaMelo should be suspended for this game, but that's just something else. The other game, Steph Curry, man, like Steph Curry, dog. Like I said on the show yesterday, there's a list of guys who I have in NBA history who strike real fear in your heart, and Steph Curry is on that list. It is a small list, but to strike real, legit fear in your heart of your opponents and fans, and Steph Curry is that kind of guy. And you saw it rear its ugly green-eyed head yesterday in that last game. That dude is ridiculous, all right? And I will not bet against him in these kind of situations. So I wasn't betting against him in the Clippers, and I'm not betting against him against the Suns, because the Suns, as y'all remember, like, the Bulls beat them. They like Sexton dropped 30 on them. And then it was a close game when they played the Bulls again. And it's like, nah, I don't believe y'all. I don't believe it. We don't believe you. You need more people. I don't believe it at all in Phoenix. So I'm going with Steph Curry. And the way Draymond Green was playing also was huge. And the way Al Horford played was huge, man. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Golden State on this one.
Josh?
Yeah, same here. I'm probably going to go with the Hornets as well as the Warriors. You can never, doubt Steph Curry in any type of game elimination situation. You definitely got to go with Steph. He always rises to occasion. But at the same time, the Hornets, man, they will give Acme a thank you video at the end of the season because we gave them Kobe White for nothing. And this dude pretty much elevated the Hornets on top of the level they already are at now. And you got to give a shout out to the coach, because he helped turn this franchise around to a point where now they are in playoff contention, and LaMelo Ball has turned that corner. They found a way to make that work. And with the other reserve players on the roster, already excelling at having probably the best season of their careers at this present moment, adding Kobe White to the mix, man, it just made the pot that much sweeter for them. So I think the Hornets are ready. I think this is their year to, make a little noise, at least in the first round. And I feel that the Golden State Warriors, they're just the Golden State Warriors. They're not going to go away. And Phoenix is kind of done for. So I just see the Hornets and the Warriors back in the playoff picture.
Mo?
Yeah, I'm going to go. So, yeah, I'll go with the Hornets as well. I think the other night, that's probably about as bad as Colin Knipple's going to be in terms of his shooting. I just can't see him going like back-to-back with like that horrid of a shooting game. And he doesn't need to be lights out per se. He just needs to be like, average, right? Yeah. And I think what you saw in that game the other night from the Hornets, like there's depth there that maybe like people aren't appreciating enough. I mean, Kobe in particular, right? Just Kobe being ready when he needed to be to pack up the heat. Like, I loved it. So I think there is, I mean, Orlando's clearly struggling. They've been struggling for really the majority of the season. It's problematic because, I mean, they weren't supposed to be this. Like, they're supposed to be something of a higher echelon team this year. So I don't know if, like, Orlando's going to have an answer for really the Hornets, not only the shooting, but I like the way the Hornets generate shots in general, like from what I've seen. And a lot of it comes back to Con as well, because he's such a great motion shooter where it's like he's constantly putting the defenses in blenders. And then it's not just him that they're trying to find, but, anyone can really, if they get the open shot, anybody's taking it. So I don't see the Magic stopping that. On the flip side, so I'm probably the contrarian on the Phoenix Warriors game. I'm going to go with the Suns, and here's why I'm going to go with the Suns. I've been very impressed with their defense. I mean, the reason to me why the Suns are a playing team is not because it's not the defense, it's the offense. They just haven't had any real consistent offensive firepower. And yes, it's Steph Curry, and at the same time, it is a single elimination game. And it's like I feel like that lends itself to a stout defense gumming up things and just like creating some problems where even though greatest shooter of all time is there, all it takes is 48 minutes of just figuring out how to make his life uncomfortable or make the other four guys uncomfortable, and you can grind out a win. So I lean towards the Suns for that one.
Matt?
Thought for a second we were going to get a clean sweep of everybody agreeing and taking both road teams, but yeah, I'm with Dave and Josh. I got the Warriors. I mean, what Steph and Draymond showed in that game the other night was just incredible. And I just don't trust the Suns, like, ever. Why should we? It's crazy to think, and I often forget, that the Devin Booker-led Suns were 2 wins away from being NBA champions back in 2021 when they lost to Milwaukee. Obviously, there was that whole Chris Paul piece of that roster, and as much as I hate the guy, you can't deny how important he is to winning and playoff runs. Like the other night when they lost to the Blazers, way to go Blazers. Like Jalen Green poured in 35 points. It took him 29 shots to get there, and he took a dozen more shots than Devin Booker. That is not a winning formula. So I got to go with the championship experience and pedigree that Steph and the Warriors have over Phoenix. Sorry to our PHNX friends over there. And then in the East, I agree with Mo. It's crazy that Khan had that bad of a night. And also LaMelo. Like, I think Concanipolo and LaMelo combined to go 2 of 50 from downtown. And they won anyway. You know why they won anyway? Because Miami is an offensively challenged team. You know who else is an offensively challenged team? Orlando. Like the writing is on the wall there, I think. And shout out to Kobe. You know, happy for him. Hope he gets to go to the playoffs and remember what that feels like. You know, Bulls Bucks was a short-lived playoff experience and the only one for him in his NBA career so far. But yeah, I like the trends for Orlando. I'm sorry, for Charlotte and for Golden State coming into these games.
All right, let's get into the.
For me, quickly, I'll go with.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Sid.
Yeah. For the Western Conference, I'll go with Golden State because of the experience. In the Eastern Conference, I will go with Charlotte. Keep this in mind. We talked about Kobe White and their head coach, who should get some votes for Coach of the Year. But keep your eye on Brandon Miller. He was injured for most of his rookie year last year. His second year, he's been playing great. So look for him to be the difference maker tonight.
That's a good point.
I agree. I've gone with Golden State with the experience. And Charles Lee, the coach of the Charlotte's done a great job with that Hornet squad. And like you guys said, the Orlando, they're ready to go to Cancun. They're ready to go, golf course, Cancun, wherever. They just want to get the hell out of there. Paulo Banchero kind of spilled the tea already. So could be some changes out there too. So we'll see. Now let's go to the main draw of the playoffs. We'll start with the East, of course. Toronto, Cleveland, Atlanta, and New York. Philadelphia and Boston, and we'll leave whoever wins the Charlotte and Orlando, whoever wins that the game gets to play Detroit. But what do you guys see any upsets here among those matchups? Josh, I'll start with you this time.
Okay, there we go. What were the playoffs? What were the playoff matchups again?
Toronto, England.
And
the Hawks
Atlanta, New York. Yeah, Atlanta, New York, and Philadelphia and Boston. And whoever wins that Orlando Charlotte playing game will play Boston. So among the Eastern Conference side, yeah. Who do you see any upsets?
I don't see any upsets per se. I think the closest one is probably Atlanta, New York, just because of the Hawks and how they have, been playing as of late. Since they got Jonathan Kuminga, they've been running. They've been going crazy. And the Knicks, as much as I do love the fact that, they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They know what it's like to have deep playoff contention these past couple of years. They also know eventually how to mess things up. And unfortunately, and Cat is at the forefront of that. He's been inconsistent in playoff moments. You've had moments where, a couple of games where Jalen Brunson struggles. You don't know if the Knicks are going to stay in it and win the whole thing. So I think Atlanta is poised to make some noise. I could see them pushing it to maybe 6-7 games. I don't know if they will win it, but I do think that that's probably the biggest chance for a potential upset, not just because of the makeup of the team and everything, but also the history of the brewing of a rivalry since Trae Young was there. I think that plays a big enough role for them to say, yeah, we may not have Trae Young with us, but we are a different squad that can still bring the heat like he was there. And that's something that the Knicks do have to worry about as they prepare for a deeper run to try to go past the Eastern Conference Finals and get to the NBA Finals this year, like they tried to do the past previous years.
All right, Mo, you're next. What's your prediction on the Eastern Conference Series in the first round?
I don't really see any upsets happening in the first round in the East. What I would expect I'll frame it this way: the series I hope we do get for sure is I want a 7-game series of Pistons versus Hornets, just because we need to make that officially a rivalry. Like I want to see that. I need to see that feistiness in a first round matchup. But I think probably the one I would expect to be the most competitive or contentious is really Cavs and Raptors. I mean, I expect the Cavs to win it, but there are question marks, right, in that Cavs roster, unfortunately, especially after they go and add James Harden. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and slander the man, but his playoff reputation precedes himself. And you add that to a roster that already has a playoff reputation that precedes themselves. I'm a big fan, honestly, on the Raptors side. Sandro, I'm not going to even try to say his last name, but Mamu, right? Like, that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. Like, who from the Cavs second unit is going to match up with him? Because he's a very versatile wild card, I think, in that Raptors bench rotation, where it's just a lot of good things he can do as a big on the perimeter, but shooting, but also his playmaking. I like his playmaking a lot. It's almost like he's kind of like a budget version of like Hartenstein with more reliable like 3-point shot. So like that's something that I think I would expect the Raptors to try to lean into that a lot in that series, especially non-Mobley minutes, non-Allen minutes. I don't know if the Cavs have somebody on the bench that's going to match up with Mamu.
Dave?
Yeah, Mo, you are 100% right. That's what my mind was as far as any team that could, like genuinely and more logically, let's push them 7 games and, maybe get the victory. It's the Raptors and their length. I mean, they are literal Raptors, on that team, and Brandon Ingram, like, has just been not to say he already wasn't awesome, but it just feels like he's been reborn since he's been out there. Like, he has been absolutely great for them, man. Like, just outstanding player. And their defense and the way they swarm, like, it just bothers, people. And the Cleveland's been a little disappointing, even before Harden kind of got there. They have been a little disappointing, at least for me, just sitting there watching them. But Donovan Mitchell is a monster, and he wants to win at all costs. But I could see that happening. But I'm actually going to take this opportunity to do what I like to do, and that's hate on the New York Knicks and just sit there. And I agree 100% with Joshua and what he just said about that. It still is a concern. This is logical hate, by the way. It still is a concern watching them, and it just feels like they could be the team that gets up out of here, the way it's just kind of been going, for them, man. And you're right. Like, Cat is a little hard, to read sometimes, in the playoffs. It's a little harder to read him. Not Jalen Brunson. Brunson's been outstanding, but it's a little harder to read. And there's been a lot of dissension on that team, starting from last year. And just watching how they lost, to the Pacers and the heartbreak that they kind of deal with. And knowing their hatred, for Atlanta, like set by Trae Young, Like, I'm guarantee you there are Knicks fans showing up thinking Trae Young is still on that team just to hate on Trae Young, like for real. But that is a concern because Atlanta has really played really well, man. And I think they've gone kind of under the radar with just how good they've been. I mean, they went on a crazy winning streak, and it wasn't talked about or discussed. And Alexander Walker, man, like my God, like my God, like this dude has just been a bright light for them to the point people are like, man, was Trae Young holding this dude back? Like that's how good he has really been for that team, man. And I can't say enough. I will definitely credit the coach who Matt and I lovingly call Meth Dad, and we shout out to him because the coaching job that he has done since he has been, on this team, I've questioned it. I felt like he was just kind of a coach you just placed there as a placeholder, and then you elevate from him. But him getting, Trae Young out of there and just watching the coaching job that's been done since, I got to give him a lot of credit for what's been going on in Atlanta, man. So yeah, it could happen for the Knicks, man, and won't lie to you, it would make me smile. Yes, it would.
Yeah, well, so I think, Detroit and Boston 1 and 2 seeds will take care of business and probably do so quickly. Maybe a sweep, maybe a gentleman's sweep against, assuming it's Charlotte, and then also Philly. Just, that Philly team just don't have enough juice right now. I see Cavs Raptors as a toss-up. I could see that series going deep. And as much as I hate to admit it, short-term, ROI, like the Harden trade worked. Like he's opened things up for Donovan Mitchell on the floor. He's developed some really quick chemistry in the pick and roll game with Cleveland's bigs. And I think we'll wait until round 2 for the Harden choke job because it's coming. I just think that maybe with home court and just more talent top to bottom, I think the Cavs will find a way to squeak out a win in that series. And I do think that the greatest chance of an upset is Atlanta. And I'm with Dave. Any chance you get to hate on the Knicks is fun, and never pass those opportunities by. I feel like the league needs the Knicks to get to the second round at least. And I think that series is going to go 7, and it'll be in the Garden, and Brunson is going to hit some shot or get some whistle, and the Knicks are going to win. Maybe they're going to bring Hugh Hollins out of retirement. I don't even know if he's still alive. Some weird MSG voodoo is going to happen. But I honestly think that the Hawks could match the Knicks, player for player, talent for talent. The big question is, can Jalen Johnson ascend to being that dude? Mm-hmm. Can he be the best player in a hard-fought, lengthy playoff series? I want to believe the answer to that is yes, and I can't wait to watch. It's just a matter of Atlanta having guys that, and Jalen specifically, who can go get you that bucket late in a tight game because, the Knicks have that guy. As much as you might not like him, they have that guy. The other, I think, X factor in that series is if Mitchell Robinson just destroys Atlanta on the glass, that could be, problematic for the Hawks. I don't know if they have anybody that could truly contain the way that Mitchell Robinson. I mean, when he's healthy, he is such a huge X factor for that team.
Well, to your point, Matt, I think that's going to be interesting with the Knicks and such. So I think the Knicks and Atlanta could go deep, and I think Toronto and Cleveland could go deep too. So right now, I don't know who to pick out of those series. So those are toss-ups for me.
I'll give my predictions quickly. The Pistons will probably sweep the Magic if it's the Magic. If it's the Hornets, the Pistons will probably win in 5. Same with the Celtics at 76ers. Cleveland should take care of Toronto in 6. Evan Mobley should be an X factor here. I'm watching out for him for Cleveland in that series. As far as the Knicks and the Hawks, I agree with the rest of the panel. There could be a potential upset. I know Matt's going to kill me for saying this, but your guy Jose Alvarado could be an X factor here in this series. If not, the next series against Boston.
It's true. It's true.
Bless his heart.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now let's talk about the Western Conference real quick. Minnesota and Denver, Houston and the Lakers. Do you see any one of those teams also Portland, San Antonio should take care of business, and OKC should take care of whoever comes out of that play and goes to Phoenix. So, Dave, I'll start with you. Who do you think among those two other Western Conference games could there be some upsets there?
Who, man? I mean, I don't even know in that Timberwolves Nuggets if any one of those teams winning is an upset. Like,
that's true.
Either one of those teams could win, bro. Like, and
Yeah.
I think that's why it's going to be the series of the first round. Like, at least for me, like I'm going to be watching that like appointment television, bro. Like appointment television, like it was the 80s, and you watching something after dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to be appointment television, watching that, bro. And yeah, either team could really win that. They really have a rivalry as well. Like that's built in. Mo, you talked about getting that rivalry back in the East. Like that's built in right now, in this matchup, and that's what's going to make it so exciting. The Lakers one is super interesting, at least for me, because anytime LeBron does anything in the playoffs, it's a legacy thing. And watching him go this season, knowing that your main guys won't be there, at least to start the series for sure, like that. I mean, a lot of that's going to be on him. A lot of that is going to be on LeBron James, even at the age that he is. It's going to be on him, and he gets to do it against Kevin Durant, and that's just going to be exciting to watch. It's like watching, I don't know, like Leonard Hearns 4 or something. You know what I mean? Like it's like watching two old school dudes, not in their prime anymore, but still, got a little speed, little haymakers, and you're gonna tune in and you're gonna watch because you remember how great they truly were, and they still got a little something. So you're gonna tune in, and you're gonna watch this. But as far as like upset, I mean, not really. I still see the Rockets, getting that one, even though seating wise it would be an upset, but just the way it's built, it wouldn't feel like one to me watching that kind of thing happen. But I think honestly, if Luka and why is his name slipping my mind? I'm looking right at Austin Reeves. Look, if Luka and Austin Reeves don't play and they win, then for me that's an upset. Like that's an upset if the Lakers go ahead and get that victory. But yeah, the West, as usual, should be really exciting in those first round matchups.
Mo?
Yeah, I'm looking at probably the same way as Dave, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, on paper, I expect it to be an upset because of the seeding, right? Yeah, the Rockets take it because, and I'll put the injuries aside for a second, even like just gameplay as well. Like, I think the Rockets are just more suited to dominate a matchup against the Lakers because the Lakers, granted, they have Luka. If Luka were healthy, that's enough of a wild card swing where they could squeeze it out against the Rockets. But where the Lakers have been problematic all season, really, it's just been they have no interior presence, right? And I mean, you get a little bit of that out of DeAndre Ayton, but that's not something that like he can reliably give you against the entire front line options that the Rockets present. So even though the Rockets also don't shoot particularly well from like three or even like outside KD, they're not known as a strong shooting team, but I think that's to their advantage given this matchup because they'll just dominate. What I expect the Rockets to do is just dominate the paint, honestly, and just, grind out, they will make it actually a boxing match with the way they play and the folks that they put on the floor against them. So I expect that. And then, yeah, I do think the Wolves and Nuggets, that's going to be a scrappy, really tight, hard-fought game. And then also we should all be excited to see Ayo Dosunmu on that platform contributing to that this season, right?
Oh, Josh?
I echo all the sentiments. It's anytime you can get LeBron James and Kevin Durant in the same series, it's gonna be special to watch. So of course, I'm looking forward to watching that matchup, especially since LeBron is going back to Superman for the Lakers this go around, while KD has his Monstars crew with him. So I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup come together. But at the same time, of course, the Timberwolves and Nuggets steal the show. That's the ultimate matchup of the Western Conference. The history of it, the rivalry of it, and you can argue that even with the changes that Minnesota has made, this could be their best year to repeat what they did the first go around against Denver when they got over the hump in the Western to the Western Conference Finals. This is another good year where that can happen because of the additions of Ayo Dosunmu and the moves they made at the trade deadline to beef up that bench. And I think Ayo is going to play a huge role in it, just like for Denver coming off the bench. Someone like a Christian Braun is going to play a huge role in it. He's had a great season so far. It's going to be interesting how these matchups play up against each other. But the Timberwolves and Nuggets is for sure going to be the best series to watch. I don't see any upsets. I do think the Rockets are going to pull it off, especially since Luka and Austin Reeves are most likely going to be there. And Denver and Minnesota really is a toss-up. You really can go either way, and be happy either way. Because no matter what, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a show out of Jokic. You're going to get a show out of Ant-Man. And if Jamal Murray comes through like he has done in previous situations, that's going to be another a big performance. So you will not be disappointed in the Western Conference this year. That's the best way to put it.
Matt?
Yeah, agree that Denver, Minnesota is the most enticing first round series across the entire playoff slate for the reasons that everybody on the panel mentioned. I will say also, I'm leaning Denver. I tend to always lean Denver in the Nikola Jokic era because he's the best player in the league. No offense to Anthony Edwards. I also think Denver was a great defensive team for the first 15 to 20 games of the season, and everybody got hurt, and namely Aaron Gordon, among others. And they went from being a quality defensive team to an atrocious defensive team for most of the season. Then they ended the season on a 12-game winning streak, in part because they got Aaron Gordon back, they got some other pieces back, and along with having the most dominant offenses in the league, one of the most historically dominant offenses in the NBA with Nikola Jokic at the helm, their defense became respectable again. So if the Nuggets are healthy, I think they not only handle Minnesota, I think they're quasi dark horse title contenders again. They're that good when Joker is healthy and Aaron Gordon is healthy and Jamal Murray is playing about to be named to the second team All-NBA version of Jamal Murray. That's a championship team. The big question is, can they have enough collective effort to check Anthony Edwards so Anthony Edwards doesn't beat them by himself? Christian Braun, if he's healthy to play Peyton Watson, checking Anthony Edwards, can they do enough? Because also the other, X factor in this series, I think, is two-time All-Star Julius Randle, who's kind of been a ghost for Minnesota in the last couple of months of the season. I think between February and March, he had a true shooting percentage of 53.5. He's just not had a strong finish to his season. He's theoretically, a running mate with Anthony Edwards, but he hasn't been playing like it lately. So if Randle doesn't show up, I think this series is over in 5. If Randle shows up, they got a fair fight. And then as far as, Rockets, Lakers, it's Bron, KD. Maybe for the last time ever that we get to see LeBron versus Kevin Durant in a playoff series. That's incredible. I can't wait to watch. I'm fixated on LeBron. I feel like it's so weird how they're national media, all we do is talk about LeBron. All we do is talk about LeBron. There were some reports earlier this season that LeBron has been not too pleased that it's the Luka and Reeves show now. Even in his post-game interview sometimes when the media was asking him to throw flowers at the flower petals at Austin Reeves' feet after a great performance, LeBron was getting irritated by it. I'm LeBron James. Yeah, Austin Reeves good, but he's not me. Simultaneously, there are reports that the Lakers, new ownership, head honchos in the front office, they're all ready to move on from LeBron and look forward. And Luka is their future, not LeBron James at 41 years old. So I am so fascinated as a LeBron hater. I won't even cloak it with any niceties. I'm a LeBron hater. Screw him. MJ's the GOAT. Which LeBron do we see? Do we see, 2012, screw this, I'm not losing in Boston, LeBron James, and say, Luke is out, Reeves is out, whatever. I'm going to drag this team out of the first round because I'm LeBron freaking James and give another feather in his cap of legacy, even if they don't go on to win a chip. And I highly, doubt that that's happening, assuming, Luka and Reeves aren't playing at 100% in later rounds. Or does he do the LeBron thing that we've seen him do, which is I'm not happy where I am, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Miami, whether it's Cleveland again, and say I'm about ready to be done here. So I'm gonna take my ball and go home, and he basically the Lakers losing a gentleman's sweep, and LeBron comes to the podium, for a Game 5 series-ending loss with like a brace on his wrist, a walking boot, and is like, wasn't our year. Like, I did my best. Sorry. So, I think I honestly could see it going either way. I could see a LeBron playoff performance for the ages, or I could see him, go out with a whimper before he goes to the geriatric Warriors to ring chase next season. I have no idea. I'm fascinated to find out which one happens.
My predictions quickly on the Western Conference. I think the Rockets will take care of the Lakers in 6. This is for you, Big Dave Watson. DeAndre Ayton's been on the milk carton all year long. He's the Lakers version of Patrick Lee Williams. I'll leave that there.
Oh.
Had to get that in.
He ain't that bad. he ain't on that level. That dude is, we talking about Jordan, LeBron, that's Jordan. This is LeBron then. Like, my goodness, my God.
In the Denver-Minnesota series, I'm cheering as hard as hell for Minnesota. I like that bitch, especially after they acquired our Ayo Dosunmu from the Bulls. But Denver, keep your eyes on their role players, as a couple of people on the panel mentioned. Jokic is tired, as we talked about LaKeena, but Peyton Watson, I think, is going to be a key factor here. He's been missing a lot of time this season due to various injuries. Cam Johnson could be the difference maker as well. If Aaron Gordon stays healthy, I think this series will go 7. I think Denver can't take this. But as I leave the prediction show with this, if you guys can see me, I'm leaving with my fingers crossed. Hope and pray that the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder will meet in this year's Western Conference Finals. Because if that happens, we talked about Denver and their supporting cast. Oklahoma City's supporting cast has been up and down this year, partially due to injuries, but the Spurs have beat them, I think, in every game this year. If those two teams meet in the Western Conference Finals this year, I think the Spurs going to have something for OKC.
All right, now for me, this is the Houston Lakers. I'll just say, I'll say Houston in 7, only because I don't know what you're going to get when Luka or Reeves, if they're able to come back. So we'll see what happens there. I'm cheering hard for Minnesota. I want Ayo Dosunmu to have that breakout playoff series. He could be a big X factor, and Julius Randle needs to show up. So I've got Minnesota in 7. Again, I might regret both those predictions in due time, but those are my picks for right now as April 17th at 2:08 Central Standard Time.
All right, and the playoff coverage will begin tomorrow with 3 games on Amazon Prime. The Saturday night game on ABC will feature the Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 1. Your Sunday games will be on ABC with a double header, which will be Boston and Philadelphia, followed by OKC versus the Suns or the Warriors. And then the return of the NBA on NBC for the playoffs. They'll have a double header for you with the Magic or Hornets versus Detroit at 5:30, followed by Portland at San Antonio at 8 o'clock. So you know where the networks are for these playoff games now. No more in TNT. Is Amazon Prime, NBC, ESPN, and ABC. And for those of you that are fortunate enough to watch us outside the Chicagoland area, with this new NBA contract, no more local broadcasts through the first round of the playoffs. So those of you in New York City might bring on the call for MSG, you're not going to get. For those of you like Billy Mack on the Lakers calls, you're not going to get. So it's going to be full 100% national TV coverage.
All right, we're wrapping things up here with our panel. Mo had the jet, so that's why you guys will see Mo anymore. Mo had the jet, so we thank you for joining us. We'll give you his social media coming up in a bit here. But starting with Josh, who is your NBA Finals? Now you can write in pencil, so you can change. But as of right now, who are your NBA Finals picks?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
I think right now, I'm going to go Thunder Celtics with the Celtics winning it all. But I very much can be wrong. So that's why I'm glad we're having a pencil. Just make sure to go with it.
Yes. We'll give you guys a mulligan if your predictions come to fruition. Dave?
I suck at the early predictions, but I nail it once I know who's in it. But I suck at actually picking them. So because I usually just go with the champion. I always feel like you're the champ till somebody says you're not. To borrow some more wrestling stuff from you, shout out to Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And until somebody beats them, I don't see how I go against the Thunder, man. That outstanding team. Might have the MVP on their team again. So I'm gonna say Thunder and Boston. Yeah, give me Boston. I'm gonna go with Josh on that one. He's right on that one. And give me the Thunder to win it all.
All right, Matt.
I mean, I don't want to pick the same final two. That's so boring. I do think a Boston OKC finals matchup is the most likely outcome. No offense to Detroit, I just don't think they're quite ready to take that step yet, despite being the 1 seed. And also, I think a couple of things. Can we all just take a second to acknowledge how incredible Jason Tatum's season story is? I think he is out there, not only out there and playing again on such a quick timeline turnaround on such a serious injury. He looks like Jason Tatum. Like he's balling, which is incredible. Yeah. And also, as I expected and predicted, they did just fine without him for most of the regular season because that team is that good. They're that deep, and they are that well coached. I think Joe Mazzulla is like chomping down the cape of Spo as the best X's and O's coach in the league. And I think it's that close. So because of those reasons, I got Boston going to the finals. OKC, they did lose 3 of 4 to San Antonio. I think, LaKeena, you mentioned that. So there is that. They've also been load managing guys a lot this season. Some guys missed. I mean, Jalen Williams barely played this season. I think he played 30 games or something like that. So if they're fully healthy, definitely a team to beat. But just to not be a broken record. And for the sake of fun, I mentioned it earlier. Why not? I think the Nuggets make their way to the NBA Finals. Joker, baby. Joker. And Joker. Joker. Go Joker.
So do you want to go first with your
All
prediction?
right. I will agree with everyone else. I'll go with the Boston Celtics like everyone else out of the East. In the West, I'm going to go left. I'll go with the San Antonio Spurs.
All right. Okay. I'll say Thunder. I'll just stick with what Josh and Dave said. And I'll agree with you two. I'll say Boston and the Thunder. I think that's really going to be the matchup. I think that a lot of people are going to be looking for. The Detroit, we'll see. I don't see anybody else knocking out the Thunder out the West. San Antonio could definitely push into 7, no doubt about it. And maybe even Denver too. But I think the Thunder has that youth and they got more experience now. I think they can definitely get together and make another finals title run. So, like I said, this is all like in pencil. So you guys can change, if someone gets upset or whatever and it doesn't work out. So these are your pictures as of 2/13. April 17th.
And let's not always making sure she's got those erasers handy halfway through the first round playoffs.
Yeah, we got to because we don't know. You don't know what happens in the playoffs, especially in the first round. We've seen it, recent years.
That's
so
true.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And let's not forget your last 7 NBA champions have been one and done. So we haven't had a repeat champion since the Golden State Warriors back almost a decade ago now. So we'll see what happens there.
All right, guys, it's been so much fun. Again, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. This has been so much fun, as usual. So where people can find you on social media, Josh, we'll start with you.
Instagram and Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media. Got a lot of good things coming your way, so stay tuned.
All right, Matt.
Bulls_Peck. Follow CHGO_Bulls as well. Shout out to our guy Willie Go Gottlieb. Follow him too. Read his stuff, allchgo.com. And tune in. We got a show at 4 o'clock today.
All right, Dave.
Everything Matt just said. And Bow Sports is where you can find me on Twitter, BAWL Sports.
CHGO Wrestling. Tune in.
Yes, exactly. Yes. WrestleMania coming up. We gotta get Will on here too. Yeah, so maybe you guys can hook that up for us. Get Will to come on here. He's terrific as well with you guys. So
absolutely.
Again,
I don't like that because then I look uglier. If Will's here too, then
Oh my God.
That's definitely a Matt issue because y'all see what's happening here.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. On that note, again, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the NBA playoffs, and we'll definitely have you guys back on soon. Thanks.
All right, y'all.
See you, LaKeena, Josh. Always a pleasure,
All right,
y'all.
you guys take care.
You too.
Oh boy. And of course you can that was Josh Hicks, Mac Peckabit, Dave Watson. Of course you can catch Mo Banks. Of course, like I said, Mo had the jet, but you can catch him at Mo Banks 10. That's MAMOBANKS 10 on Twitter. So you can catch him on. Also you can catch his podcast right here on YouTube.
Yes.
All right.
All right, LaKeena, take us home.
Yeah, I was going to say you already covered the schedule for this weekend in the playoffs, so it's going to be a very busy last couple of days on Prime and ABC and NBC. So you can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter, executors again to IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Be sure to download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And if you missed our illustrious NBA and Bulls NBA playoff panel here, OG Bulls fan and others, don't worry. You can catch the replays anytime, anywhere on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook, YouTube channels. You can catch replays of our show, Sean Sierra Sports, the Smoke Fuzz. I know they're going to have a lot to say about this year's playoffs and the Bulls as well. So you can catch the replays anytime, anywhere on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook, YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm. And you know we will provide.
Enjoy the baseball, and of course, enjoy the playoffs. All the other great sports coming up, golf, tennis, what have you. It's all right there for you. Soccer too. So and gymnastics too. We got college gymnastics here. They're coming up this weekend as well. They're crowning some national champions. So enjoy all that sports, all the other good stuff. It's gonna be a little bit cooler. So make sure you might stay and watch some sports. And just be safe out there. For Sid, I'm LaKeena with Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago, and we'll see you guys next week for NFL draft coverage.
Go Sox, holla!